Hello everyone, and once again, welcome to another Maddie live. Actually, I haven't done one for so long, I don't think, so I'm really pleased to do this, and I'll explain to you in a minute why I decided to suddenly do it. There is a reason, but first I want to thank everybody for being in chat. I am challenged when it comes to watching the chat, as you know. I relied on Shirley so much, but I have to do it myself. And so, yeah, great to see you all. And the reason that I decided last night that I wanted to do this live was because Revi sent me a video of a documentary, a Maddie documentary. We've seen so many of them. And quite frankly, I was just so annoyed. I think I watched half a minute of that, and I thought, why is there not a documentary that actually looks at what really happened, according to my research anyway? So I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to go through and give you an overview of what I figured out happened during that course of that week and also afterwards. It's what I would put into a documentary. Now, I'm doing a lot of it from memory, so please forgive me if I have to kind of think a little bit. But basically, I looked this morning to get some information. And honestly, I'm still shocked myself. I'm still finding things out. I initially started doing some more research and I haven't been able to do it. It's quite time consuming. It's the kind of research that you need to focus on totally. You can't do anything else. You have to focus. And so I've only got the basics, but I really do need to get into checking everything because it's so outrageous. But I think you'll see what I mean when I start to explain. I just want to start off by playing a little bit of a video. I'm not going to play it all for now, of the triangle. We all know that there was always questions about the triangle, and the triangle is the area that's southwest of Praia de Luz in the southwest corner. Sagres in particular was a place of interest, and I think you'll be shocked. I think you really will be shocked if this actual if the actual details that I am still discovering were put into a documentary. I think I can't get over it, as you can tell. But anyway, I'm just going to play a little bit of this video that I made years ago, 10 years ago, probably more, just to give you an idea of why Sagres and the triangle is an issue. So let me just try and do what I'm supposed to be able to do. And I'll be back to you in a minute.
Para cada onde dorme o sol, eu fico todas as tardes a ver se ele se vai embora e me deixa confiado às memórias de outrora, em que levantamos tendas, sopramos canções de guerra, semeamos nesta terra novos sonhos que ainda agora parecem sonhar de novo. Sagres, tu sabes como se arma um coração Agarramos uma vida, desatamos a paixão. Oh, sabes, tu sabes, na ponta da solidão. No palco de uma fogueira, entre risos de medronhos, fomos as noites dos loucos, escondidos nas piteiras. E os beijos não foram poucos, a noite não tinha céu, o dia não tinha chão, o tempo não tinha cara, e o mar tomava-nos conta dos 5 dedos da mão. Sabes, tu sabes, como se arma o coração. Agarramos uma vida, desatamos a paixão. Oh, sabes, tu sabes, na ponta da solidão. Sabes, tu sabes, como se arma o coração. Agarramos uma vida.
Okay, I think I'm just getting little notifications here about my browser, but hopefully everything's okay and you can still hear me. Now, I played that just as a precursor to doing the basic timeline, what I would expect to be in a documentary. So I'm just confirming that everybody can hear me and see me. Hello out there. So I'm going to start basically through the week. And normally I would follow on from what we're made to believe they did. I'm going to probably, hopefully, ignore that stuff and go with what I discovered with my research. So if you can bear with me, hoping it all comes together and you can understand what I'm saying. Now, they flew over there on the Saturday. One from Jerry and Kate and Fiona and Dave and Diane, and the children from the Midlands, and then Russell O'Brien and Matt, they flew from Gatwick earlier and arrived first. So once they arrived, we hear things about Kate going swimming with Maddie, a lot of discrepancies. But at this point, I don't believe the discrepancies actually started. I think the discrepancies came once something happened to Maddie. So anything that they claimed for the Saturday, I believe, is just backfill to kind of make it look right. On the Sunday, they went down to the pool. And as many of us feel, this was the day that the last photo was taken. It was a sunny day, and you can see from the photo that Jerry wasn't tanned, and it's more than likely that the photo was taken on that day. And it was actually, it was probably after lunch, because what we do know, the last time Maddie was seen that we have proof of, is Fatima, the cleaner's daughter. And she saw them going up to the Payne's apartment. And she has several descriptions of them. Maddie was wearing shoes with little lights on, carrying a plate. And we do know that that was the plan, that they would go up for lunch at the Payne's apartment. She followed them up the stairs because she was cleaning the apartment next door. Or she was going to see her mother, who was cleaning the apartment next door. So at that point, when she was seen and at the pool is probably the last photo from my research that I've seen. I do believe that the playground pictures were taken on the Saturday, because they're wearing, most of them are wearing very similar clothes. Sean, one of the twins, was wearing the same kind of outfit that he wore on the plane coming over. So at that point, that's Sunday. What I have, well, most of us know that Monday has always eluded them. When I did all the statements, I compiled all the statements together and did timelines for them. And what I found, and what I think most people find, is there's very little information about Monday. Very little information about Monday. And when it comes to the files anyway, the discrepancies started Tuesday morning. Amazing discrepancies that just really showed that, to me, that something was wrong, and they were trying to make everything fit, but not everybody got the same information and put it together. So I've always said that I believe something happened to Maddie between Sunday lunchtime, when Fatima saw her, and Tuesday morning, when the discrepancies started. But I've never known or had any indication as to the actual time, or when, or day. But this is where the shocking stuff comes in. I was doing a live one day, on one of my last lives that I did on the timeline. And as I'm reading from some of my information, I came across the fact that they went to Sagres on the Monday. And I'll explain to you why that is so important later on. But apparently, now I do have all the details of what happened down there. It was widely published. They went down. There was something to do with Nuno Lourenco, but I don't know how he's involved. This is all the research which I haven't yet got to. So please forgive me not knowing all the details, but I know enough that I think you'll be shocked, is that they went to Sagres, and apparently they met up with somebody who owned a barn, an unused barn in Sagres. This, when you put it together with something that happened in June the 9th, is when there was an issue with Jerry McCann and Russell O'Brien talking on the phone, with a distance between them that they denied. Jerry denied this. I'll get into that more. And that's where they found the Aztec towel and the fibers from the sea neck. But let's go back to Monday. So Monday, they're in Sagres. Jerry doesn't mention about it. Kate doesn't mention about it, but they were seen down there, and it's well documented that they were there, or at least Jerry was. I don't know whether Kate was. That was Monday. That made me think, hang on, if this was something to do with Maddie, then, and I just thought this morning, if they were out looking for, if this was where they placed Maddie during the time, which June the 8th tells me that's a possibility, then something probably happened to Maddie before the Monday. In fact, between the Sunday afternoon and at least the Monday morning. That was quite shocking to me. But anyway, that was Monday. As I say, there's very little mentioned about the Monday. Russell O'Brien, was he? I think they said everybody was at the tapas that night, but there wasn't a lot actually written. Russell was Tuesday missing. So then we get into Tuesday morning, and that's when all the discrepancies started. So what I believe, and again, this is missing out everything they've told us about Maddie playing tennis, mini tennis, because I just don't believe it happened. And I believe they had to cover at this point. And this is where it comes into what I believe that they did is, okay, Maddie is not around for whatever reason. So they needed her booked into the creche to be able to prove she was there. But if she wasn't there, how are they going to do it? Now, I don't believe that Russell O'Brien's daughter, she had a foot problem. And I don't believe that they were going to send her both morning and afternoon. And I do believe you had to pay for one. You know, if you went in the morning, you had to pay for the afternoon. But that's beside the point. The thing is, she did go. And what I believe they worked out between them was that to make it appear that Maddie was there, and this is in the files, you can read it in the files, they both, on the Tuesday, they both walked to the kids club together. And I believe that Russell O'Brien put his daughter in, signed her in, and Jerry walked in with her. So at that point, they knew they had to try and make sure that people would believe Maddie was there. And that's why I believe Jerry went in to make it look like he was, they didn't have to say, it was not like a substitute. It was just that the nannies would see him and they'd see Russell's daughter, who was only 3 months difference in age. She had similar color hair to Maddie. And I mean, it's so easy to have mistaken her for Maddie. When the nannies were asked a week later, they said, yeah, but not one of them was specific about it being Maddie. Some were, it was, I saw her for a minute, or saw Jerry. There was nothing specific from the nannies that it was Maddie. And even Catriona's testimony is, or her statement is questionable and on a lot of things. So I want to try and focus on, if this was a documentary, here we have them arriving, going to the pool, going upstairs to have lunch at the Paynes, and then something happening. So by the Monday, they have to work out something. Why on a Monday, just after they'd arrived on their holiday, would Jerry be down in Sagres talking to somebody who owned a disused barn? I mean, that's pretty crazy. And then Tuesday, everything started, discrepancies started. Everything they said, somebody else said something different, even though they were supposed to have been at the same place. So that was Tuesday. And then we get to the Tuesday night where we know Mrs. Fenn heard crying. We do not know who she heard crying. Some have said at times maybe it was when they were shouting Maddie, Maddie, Daddy, 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 that it could have been Maddie. Kate shouting out for Maddie. It could have been that Russell's daughter was there and it was her crying, because Mrs. Fenn did say that it wasn't a very young baby like the twins. It was a toddler of sorts. So it could have been her. There's good reason to think that it wasn't Maddie at this point now, because they've already started making up stories. And then when it comes to Wednesday morning, it was really very strange, because at 7 o'clock, Kate phones her friend whose husband is a pathologist. At 8 o'clock, Jerry starts receiving the text messages that he denied. If there was nothing that was happening during the course of that week, why were the police so involved in trying to find out the details of those text messages? And from what I understand, they actually do know what's enclosed in those text messages that he denied. Wednesday morning, not after Thursday. This is before. And they actually, the prosecutor took them to a kind of a Supreme Court just a month before the shelving. But the judge would not give them permission to use the details. But they know what was in those text messages. So he received the text messages. Then I think 20 past, Jane Tanner was in contact with, golly, it was something. It was somebody, I can't remember offhand, but it was an important kind of connection to stuff that had happened. So that was Wednesday. Can you see how a documentary, taking all this in, plus more, obviously, I can't remember everything, but I just wanted to get the very basics of what that week was like, and then look at the curiosities going further into the year. So that was Wednesday. Now, Wednesday night was when that was when Rachel wasn't there. There was somebody, I believe somebody was looking after the children every night. Tuesday it was Russell. Wednesday was Rachel. And they claim that night, Kate claims that Jerry went off without her and she was upset and walked away at 11 something, and they went back to their apartment. She was miffed. But the waiters tell us without question that they were really annoyed, because they usually finished at 12 and they had to stay till 1 o'clock and they couldn't get rid of them. So my belief is that maybe that was the time that they were discussing to connect everything as to how Thursday was going to go, because maybe they had to wait for Diane to go home, the mother, and they didn't want to discuss anything in front of her. And I mean, why else would they keep the waiters an extra hour overtime? Why would they claim that they had a little tiff and went back to the apartment when they didn't at that point? That was Wednesday night. So come Thursday, we have some very strange cover-ups. It basically is a cover-up, because I believe Rachel was not very good at keeping things straight. And on Thursday, she saw the sharks, not the lobster. Maddie was with the lobster. She saw the sharks playing mini tennis. And that's when she claims it was Maddie there. And that was the last time she saw Maddie. She didn't see Maddie after that. Now, in reality, Maddie was supposed to have played on the Tuesday. So if the real thing that had happened would have been the Tuesday, then that means Rachel wouldn't have seen Maddie since Tuesday. But I just believe she was trying to be helpful and claim that she saw Maddie at tennis, which of course she didn't, whether Maddie was still around or not. Maddie was not in that group. Then this is the day that they were supposed to do the last picture at 2:20, I think. They changed the time. I tried to figure out why and what time they took the picture on the Sunday, but I haven't come to any great conclusion with that. But they were supposed to be at the pool. At the same time, Fiona and Jane. Sorry, I had to think they were getting. Didn't want to come up with the wrong one. Fiona and Jane decided to go and play tennis. Jane claims that Maddie was yelling through the fence, and Fiona didn't mention her at all. In fact, she said the last time she saw her was earlier that day at tennis. So, was Maddie there? Were Jane and Fiona there? And in actual fact, were the McCanns there at the pool? Or was this made up because they'd already previously been there on the Sunday, but this was to make it look like Jane saw them. She saw Maddie shouting through the fence, but Fiona didn't. It's very, that to me tells me so much. And I think maybe you too. There's probably a lot that I'm missing out on this documentary, but I just wanted to show you that there is another story here, which I wish they would do instead of these. Oh, they're really frustrating and annoying abduction stories. After everything happened, now we do know that the nannies were taken off to Greece, I think, the week after. And that was curious that they weren't around to be able to tell any stories. And we go through the next little while. Lots of things happen where they... I will tell you one thing that actually came to me this week. 10 years ago, I don't know if many of you are aware of Control Risks, the group. It's an investigation team that the McCanns hired, which they shouldn't have done. It was illegal. They shouldn't have done that, not an investigation. But anyway, they did. And apparently this is only from memory, but I think I'm right, is that they gave them a timeline of the night, that night, the next day. Excuse me. And they did supposedly an investigation. Now, I was sent 10 years ago the 40 screenshots from Control Risks, which were apparently in the files, but they were not released. And I think along with a lot of other things were not released. We're told they released everything, but the fact is I've got the screenshots to show they were in the files, but they were not released. Also, the reason I found out about them, it was an accidental. Part of them is the statements of Mr. Mann, the Sperrys, and the Owen sisters. And in their statements, they'll mention about being there that night and sitting at the bar talking to Tom, lots of stuff which we've never known before. But I couldn't mention anything because I was sworn to secrecy for 10 years. And I happened to come across it yesterday when I was looking for timelines and things. And I contacted the person that sent it to me, and she said, with integrity, you can announce it, which is what I'm doing. I'm not going to post everything and do that. I don't think that's right. But I am going to go through it because of my knowledge of the timelines. I think there's some things in there which will stand out to me, and I can maybe share them with you. So I'm kind of looking forward to doing that. But I've got so many things on the go right now that I'm a bit here and a bit there. So please bear with me on that. Now, the next thing is just recently, fairly recently, actually, after I did the last live and saw that Sagres was an issue on Monday, 2 days after they arrived and it fits with everything else. Let me tell you something. I know a lot of people do not agree with me about something happening to Maddie earlier in the week, and I understand. But in 16 years, I've never come across one thing that contradicts any of what I believe. Absolutely. And if it did, I would acknowledge it, because to me, I don't need to be right. I need the truth. I want the truth. That's what I'm looking for, is the truth. But nothing's ever predicted anything that I've posted in the research. And now what I'm finding is all this new stuff is coming to light, and I haven't had time to research it. And when I say research it, I can find it, but it's a matter of putting it into timelines. And if this happened that day and this happened that day. And that's one thing that I discovered this morning, which, whoa, is that on, I don't know, a lot of you may remember that on June the 9th, you may remember how the police, I'm going to post, okay, you may remember this. It's about when Jerry and Russell had a conversation on the phone, but they denied it. Does anybody remember what they seeing that? What it was they had a conversation and denied the fact that there was, well, let me just see if I can bring up the actual piece here that I could read. The hunt for Madeleine last night centered on a disused barn near Praia de Luz, where police found a towel stained with what may turn out to be the little girl's blood. Fibers found on the towel allegedly match fibers from the hire car rented by Maddie's parents, Kate and Jerry McCann. Portuguese detectives discussed the breakthrough when they met British police and a Crown Prosecution Service official last week at a police station in Leicester. Today, for the first time in the Sunday Express, it can shed light on the new avenue police are pursuing in the hope of a breakthrough in the baffling case. Based on fresh information from mobile phone surveillance, police began a search of the area in the southeast of the resort. They came across a towel with an Aztec design near a disused barn in a remote area close to Praia de Luz. Portuguese sources say forensic scientists used a substance called laminol to look for the blood deposits and found there are sites on the edges of the towel. They tested the blood deposits to see if there was a match with Madeleine's DNA. Although the samples were not good quality, the scientists were able to do what is called a low copy analysis, which showed there was a moderate support to suggest that blood deposits matched Madeleine's blood. The results were not conclusive and are not regarded as being strong enough to be presented as evidence in any court case. They also found a loaf and a Cartier bag, which produced no significant information, but close analysis of the towel revealed fibers which were not made of the towel material. The fiber fragments were microscopically examined against fibers found in the boot of the Renault Scenic hired by the McCanns 25 days after Maddie vanished. Portuguese police sources say there was strong support that the fibers found on the towel matched the fibers from the boot of the car. One possibility being considered by the Portuguese detectives was that the towel had, at some point, been in the boot of the Renault Scenic, which would explain how fibers had got on it. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that confirms what basically I've been saying for quite some time, that in the triangle, they started going down the triangle, going down to Sagres and the triangle on this June the 8th. And that's when the telephone conversation that Jerry denied. And that's when they found the towel. And what a coincidence that the blood moderately matches Maddie, and that the towel fibers were found in the Scenic, or found to have the fibers from the Scenic on them. I think that's quite, I think it's a little bit mind-blowing. It's not something that's often talked about. We've known about it for a while, but never really put it into context. And one thing that I want to point out that I discovered this morning, which may or may not be something that others, excuse me, that others are worried about. But the odd thing, this was June the 8th. No, sorry, 9th. Whoops, I guess I should have some water. Just bear with me. Yeah, it was June the 9th. Now, I discovered this morning, do you remember how there was one day Jerry changed the date on his blog? Oddly, there was no reason for it. Nobody really, I don't think anybody ever figured out why, but he did. And this is his blog. It was day 37, which was the 9th of June, Saturday. But Jerry used day 37, the 11th of June. After this, we headed down to Sagres, which is the very most southwestern tip in Portugal. There's a very nice beach, and we had lunch with the family. Well, it should have been on the 9th that he posted this. So why did he change it to the 11th? That seemed odd to me. But what I did find is there was obviously something drastic he was trying to hide, because on the 11th, they were actually in Morocco. So he definitely was trying to hide that. And another thing that I've often wondered about when they were in Morocco and they were dressed in black. And I often wondered, is there a reason for that? I mean, we never saw them dressed in black at any other time that I can recall anyway. Just seems very odd. I can't exactly tell some of the things I've got here, but I'm going to bring them up. Yeah, I think it's from the Daily Express, but I think it's what the Daily Express did is they used to take, they knew that they weren't getting the information, they couldn't report it themselves, but they used to take what the Portuguese press put and use it. And they could always say it was the Portuguese press. They still got done anyway, but I think that's just about the 28-kilometer distance that Jerry denied. There's a part 2, but this now on the 8th or the 9th, on the 9th. On the 8th is the day that Jerry wore the red aeroplane t-shirt, the one that was discovered to have cadaver odor on it, and alerted by the dogs. Jerry claimed on that blog that day that he'd eaten sea bass, which covered him for a cadaver odor, which apparently sea bass can have. Now, is this kind of, I don't know the word, on the 8th, Sean's t-shirt is in contact with cadaver odor. On the 9th, they took the trip to Sagres, to the disused barn. On the 10th, the mobile phone calls tracked. Maybe there's a day or so difference there. And on the 11th, and this is another thing that I've really got to get into studying, because I've never really looked at it, is the Telegraph. They were in Amsterdam earlier, and the Telegraph receives the anonymous letter allegedly identifying where Madeleine's body has been buried. Now, this is all within this couple of days. Something was going on there, and I absolutely believe, as I thought before, but I hadn't put all this together. June the 13th informed, on the 13th, the first PJ search is carried out near Arreo. In the evening, a further research carried out dawn next day. On the searches, a light brown beach towel found and sent for forensic examination. And that is a comment that was made at the time. Is this what spooked them to move in the body? And then shortly after, John Corner arrives. The phone records tell us that they went on the 9th of June to Sagres, and on the 10th, that's still the 9th, I think. Well, on the 11th, they were not in Portugal. They were in Morocco, because we could see the newspaper, The Sun, taken on November the 11th of June. So we know they weren't in there. I'm not sure. Now here's something. If we go back to the earlier in the week, apparently the phone pings for Kate on the 29th are missing. That would be the Sunday. On the Monday, there is absolutely no record for Jerry. And on the Tuesday, no record for Jerry. All others are in sequence. And there's other. I mean, this is why Monday was always, in my mind, the thought that that's the day something happened. Now, something could have happened to Maddie earlier than the Monday, maybe the Sunday afternoon, evening. But I think this shows that there is definitely a cover-up by the McCanns at that time. Okay. Part of the reason I was looking at the triangle, everybody was looking at the triangle, And I do believe, let me just say, I do believe the police have all this information. They're just not releasing it. So although I'm putting it together, I think it's already been done by the police. So it's probably nothing new. They know exactly what happened during that week. And I'm just, on behalf of us, putting it out there. And I've just discovered that through the research that I've done. I don't know if there's anything else of consequence that I've saved here. Maybe not. Some of these I'm not sure where I got them from. I saved them. I find the activities around the 30th of April intriguing, and the PJ files for this day contain some gaps in terms of phone records, crash records. Yeah. See, that's the thing. There are gaps. There wouldn't be gaps if this wasn't important. The above is bold, really troubles me because the PJ have held back evidence from the 29th and the 30th of April. Why haven't they used it? See, this is confirming. As I said before, I've never had any contradictions from the research that I've done. I've never seen any contradiction. But all this kind of just adds and confirms to me everything that I've believed. And many of you have heard me say that I believe that ultimately Maddie's body was moved from Sagres on the 28th of July. And the reason being that Jerry, through July, through some of June and July, they'd make a visit just out to Buden's, is it Villa de Bispo, which is relatively close and could be on the same phone ping to Sagres. They'd go and visit just for an hour and then come home. And they did that fairly frequently. And then at the end of July, they did go on the 27th and then on the 28th. And I think the 28th was the last time they went. The Camerons, his brother, his sister and her husband, they left Portugal on the next day. I believe that I've always believed that on the 29th is when her body was moved. And when I say that, I really feel that Huelva, however you say that, is the place that they drove to. Now, they drove there on, I think, the 2nd of August. It doesn't mean that on the 29th, she wasn't taken to that place in Huelva, or however you say it. And the McCanns just drove down there on the 2nd, I think, with John Corner. It all kind of fits into place, but this is the research that I really need to spend. It would probably take me a couple of weeks, if not a month, of just focusing on the research to get all the dates together, and the Amsterdam letter from De Telegraaf, and the fact that they were in Amsterdam just prior to June the 9th. It just all fits together. Jerry was in Washington on June the 23rd, I believe. And that's when he returned, and he got off the plane, didn't come back to PDL. He overshot PDL and went straight down to Villa de Bispo, which is where I believe that they probably had Maddie. That was a very odd thing to do. And at that point, that's when the liaison, I can't remember his name, when Kate told him that she had the dream that Maddie's body was lying somewhere. And that's when they made the decision to bring the dogs in, because she was basically acknowledging the fact that Maddie was dead. And that's when they brought in Mark Harrison, who in turn bought the British dogs, which we all know they spent the week there. They went somewhere every day. Now, they filmed everything. We only saw an hour and a half of the dogs. They filmed every day, and they filmed everything of what the dogs did. We haven't seen it. I mean, that was 5 days worth, I think. So they could have found anything and not really told us. We know now that the PJ have held back a lot of information. So this documentary would continue with Jerry and maybe his sister, maybe his, not his sister, but his brother-in-law. Maybe they went down to Praia de Luz, to Sagres or Villa de Bispo, or in that area, and picked up and drove the body out to Huelva. That's something, as I say, I need to finish researching, but it's very possible, in fact, very probable, in my opinion, because, I mean, what I'm finding is that I'm putting things together and I'm getting things confirmed. Like this, it all fits. It absolutely fits. And Jerry was probably scared that the dogs were coming in, and that's when they needed to move on the 28th before the dogs came in. And as soon as it was moved, that's when the brother-in-law and sister left. It's definitely something happened there. Now, I can't, my mind isn't thinking what happened after that. So my documentary would have to end at that point. No, it wouldn't. But I think you get, and I hope you get my meaning, that the actual things that happened during that time are far different than what we have, we ever see in a documentary. And I just wish that we could have a documentary that kind of went along those lines. And I've also added, prove me wrong. If I have said anything that anybody can prove me as being wrong, I will listen, because like I say, I don't want to be right. Well, I do want to be right, but I want the truth. I want it to be the truth. So just let me know. I would really like to know if somebody can prove me wrong. And if they can't, what does that tell you? It's yeah. Now, I've gone over quite a bit. I haven't been able to read comments. Let me just see. I'm going to try something new for me, because usually I'm so busy putting out videos and pictures that I have to have the little thingy on the side on the page with all the pictures, so I can't watch comments. But I am going to put the comments on and do a Shirley. Shirley does this for me usually, and she just goes through and highlights the comments. So I am going to do a Shirley. Oh golly, I don't know that I can read them all. Okay. Hi, Emily Cheetham and Robert Chinnery and Connie and Sandy Blue, Humanimal, and Gaz is right, Joe Dolphin. Oh, and Maureen and Revy, of course, Joyful Dolphin. I know Slinky Socks was here earlier. but she's not totally into the Maddie case, so this probably wouldn't have really interested her. And it's really only the people that really want to get to the nuts and bolts. But ultimately, I think if there was a documentary that was based on what I've just told you, that would be quite shocking. People wouldn't believe it, but we've got all the details there to show that it's a very likely possibility. So is there any questions? Oh, hang on. Can I not see? See, I'm looking now at the YouTube page and I can see lots of things. I can see Shirley. Hi, Shirley. I've been talking about you. And I can see Slinky Socks and others. And I can't see them when I look at the, I tell you. So I can't highlight them because I can't highlight from there. So maybe I can just look. Oh, that cat is so comfy. This is Looky Lou, world famous Looky Lou, who just happens to love sitting on the back of the settee here. And it just so happens that in the afternoon, this is his nap time. So he's here and ready. And I think he's on most of my lives. Good old Looky Lou, eh? How you doing? Yeah, I know. Okay. So, is there any questions? Hey, Shirley, can you yell out if there's any questions? Do I think that Jerry's tennis bag was used in hiding the body? I think there's a very good possibility because obviously it was something that the PJ were really interested in, and it did disappear along with a pink blanket, and Cuddle Cat was left. But if you think about it, that pink blanket would have been Maddie's real comfort thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought it from Britain if it wasn't her special blanket. And I think if they, from what I can make out from the blood, where it leads from the window in the lounge. There was an alert for cadaver in the parents' bedroom. And then outside the veranda of the parents' bedroom, there was cadaver and hairs. And then down into the garden was cadaver odor. And I would suspect that that's when the blue bag was used and was also put with the pink blanket because that was her favorite. Yes, I know you're there. Yes, I know you're there. You just want limelight, don't you? So, yeah, I think they did use the blue bag to transport her. Certainly, I would never dispute the Smith sighting. I absolutely believe the Smith sighting that they saw somebody. But I have never imagined for 1 second that Jerry, knowing there was blood in the apartment, that Jerry would not be carrying Maddie uncovered through the streets. But I'm not saying that they didn't set up something where he was seen. I really don't know about that. So, thank you. So, but I would hate if anybody oh, he's having trouble finding a spot to get down. Here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I absolutely believe, and I know that they absolutely believed it, and they could be right. It could have been Jerry. It could have been Jerry with, or somebody else with another of the children. Basically, I've never believed it, and still don't. So I think the blue bag was involved. Any more questions? Apple devices do have different. Oh, Emily wants to know if you think it will ever be solved. It is solved. I absolutely believe it's solved. And let's not forget, there is the memory of the future where before they went back to England, they all had to go into a court and give a witness statement, and it was sealed, not to be opened until and unless they have a court case. And this is why they were maybe holding back on all these, the screenshots from control risks and statements. Now, the other thing is, and this is important to remember, because everybody seems to think that the Scotland Yard, Operation Grange, I'm one of the few, if not the only one, that really absolutely believes that they are not giving us one iota of information. They never have, and I don't believe they ever will, because I believe that they have the truth. And I believe that they can't close their case because they have to wait for the PJ. How can they close what they have and release it without the PJ, who are in charge of the investigation, coming forward with what they have? So we know the PJ, they know everything I've spoken about today. They know they went to Sagres the next day. They know they went on June the 9th. They know they went on July 29th. They know there was the missing time frame on the trip to whoever. I think there was a couple of hours differences. They know all that. Everything that I've come up with, except I'm not sure that they've got the crash details. I'm not sure that they understand that, which is why I was trying to send it to Gonzalo, because it said it's very possible that something happened to Maddie earlier in the week, but it doesn't explain how she was seen at the crash. Well, I've explained that. I think that might be the only thing the PJ are not fully aware of. I'm not sure. Or I did send it to them, and hopefully they've got it. But I believe they've got everything. So as far as being solved, it is solved. I think the PJ know everything. So much more than we will ever know. I mean, look, we got the files from a year and a bit. Think of the 15 years that there's been more investigating on this. They haven't given up. So it's 15 years worth of stuff which is not released. Scotland Yard told me personally, one of the detectives told me, we stay under the radar. You won't hear anything from us that isn't something that you have to read between the lines, and we will always stay under the radar. So I know that nothing in Scotland Yard has been leaked. So they've got it. We also know that Operation Task, which is Leicester Police, the police had to sign a secrecy act, a secrecy document to not talk about the case. And it is an absolute that none of Leicestershire Police's information is going to be known unless and until there is a court case. So we're not hearing from anybody. It doesn't mean that all of them know. Why it's not talked about in the media? Is it because Carter Raku are well known for their super injunctions? Is it because they put a super injunction on everybody? That's very, very possible, because we know that Diane Webster referred to what probably was a super injunction as to why she couldn't talk. It doesn't answer why the next morning John Buck suddenly appeared on the scene and everything started at that point before Carter Ruck were brought in. But yeah, there's definitely something that is definitely a cover-up of some sort. As far as the police goes, I believe they know everything. So will it be solved? It is solved. They just haven't got the full proof. And if you think about it, look at the O.J. Simpson case. They had everything in place and he got away with it. So they would have to have absolute 100% proof of what happened. And as it stood at the end, when they released the files, they couldn't say whether it was an abduction or it was something to do with the parents or anything. And so that's why they couldn't make any charges, because you can't charge somebody and say, well, I'm charging you with, well, I don't know what. They needed proof of something. Now, whether that's changed now, I don't know. But certainly, I think everybody in the police force knows. And this is partly why, I mean, look at when Gonzalo Amaral was needing to appeal. Scotland Yard police detectives sent $1,000 in support of him. Yeah, I think they all know. They just are sworn to secrecy, or they can't say until the Portuguese police actually make a move. And I really think they will. I think something is going to happen at some point. I don't know when, but it will. I believe. I have to believe it because it's so outrageous that it's just waiting for that. It's not like nobody can figure it out. I mean, if a little somebody, well, not little, but if somebody like me can come up with the details that fit together and the police are in agreement, if I can do that, then don't tell me the police haven't got it all wrapped up. It's that for me is a definite. It's just waiting for that one moment when, even if they find a body, I don't know that, well, body, or whether she's been cremated or dropped in the sea, we really don't know. As far as the dropping in the sea goes, I will say that there's one strange thing that Kate told her, that, was it the priest or the chap that gave her the Bible? She met with him on May the 11th in the tapas, prior to supposedly going to give a statement to the police on the 11th, as did a lot of the other tapas. Her statement never showed up. Even the parents, I have them on a video clip saying, yes, Kate's going to give the statement. Well, apparently she was talking to him in the tapas, and she asked him a favor, and she said, can you go to the marina and pray for me, pray for Maddie at the marina? And he said yes. He said, and he did every morning. That's right. And he did. And I mean, that is kind of strange, which makes me wonder whether there was something to do with the marina. I mean, she didn't know that we'd be talking about it right this minute. She was just chatting to him in the tapas, and he happened to mention it, naively maybe, in his statement, which I picked up on, and everybody else. So that may be a major thought, that the marina has something to do with it. Now, I know that Ben Salmon, rest in peace, Ben, did some major work, and I know Isabel did, regarding the marina and the restaurant there and the phone calls. Oh, he's back. He gave up. Too much snow outside. And unfortunately, I can't give you the details on those. I'm not familiar with them. But yeah, was the marina something to do with where she is, or something to do with it? Okay. Any more questions? Oh yeah, Kate McCann's father did tell everybody that they were giving her Calpol. One thing to keep in mind when people say, yeah, but Calpol's just a whatever. The fact is that that particular Calpol, late night Calpol at that time, was taken off the market, I think, in 2010, 3 years later. And it was questionable. Now, I'm not saying it was terribly questionable, but there was issues with it. And I've always said, I wonder, because I do believe that somebody was watching the children. Paulo Rebello mentions about that there were 7 children all in one room. He didn't mention about the 8th. If they were watching the children, then maybe Calpol was, as Gonzalo Amaral believes, part of the issue. Who's to say that maybe the parents gave her Calpol and then somebody that was looking after her gave her Calpol as well? And this may, I've always said, this may answer the question that the parents, why would the Tapas 7 be following on? Now, if something had happened because one of the 7 of them had given an additional amount of Calpol to Maddie, and Fiona mentions about resuscitation, it's very possible that that could be why they all are together, except Diane. I don't think Diane had anything to do with it, but it could be why they're protecting this other person who unknowingly, anything. It could be anything. We don't know why she died or what she died of. We just know she died. And it wasn't necessarily just with the McCanns there. It could have been with somebody else, and I don't want to get into any of the other stuff. So it would, yeah, I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, Angela. It's so good. Oh, so good. Thank you. Remember Jane Tanner saying something along the lines of, it would do more harm than do Maddie good in a documentary. This was in reference to her evidence. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Have you been to the barn? I haven't been to Portugal. I haven't even been to England for 45 years. Human animal is questionable as far as its use, Calpol. But who had Calpol on that trip? Because I don't recall it from the medications they had with them. Yes, that's the one theory, accidental double dose. I do believe that Gonzalo was aware of the Calpol being there. Again, I think we're learning that the police files are the truth, but I don't think we've got all the truth. I think they've had to hold back for a possible trial. We don't know. So could the police not send Emily? Nice to see you, Emily. Could the police not send a diver into the marina? Well, we don't know what they did. This was well, when he gave his statement, I guess it may have been April. It may have been his rogatory statement. I can't remember what his statement, but although Kate was due to go and give, because the PJ came to the Ocean Club to take the statements from the others. We know that there's a David Payne statement which is missing, and I mean, there's just so much. But I think overall, I think if you look at what I've just said, that they came, something happened to Maddie on the, sadly, probably on the Sunday night. They had to think what to do on the Monday. By the Tuesday, they were trying to cover it up at the creche and in all the other places. Well, Monday they had to arrange in a disused barn in Sagres. And although I couldn't find the actual wording, I did read somewhere that was a disused barn with kind of a cavern in it. I can't find that. I'm just stating that as what I recall. I mean, so odd. There was an issue with the Polish chap who lived in Germany, I think, Nuno Lorenko. I never really took to that. He was supposed to be down at Sagres that day and taking photos. Somebody else said that they believe it was Jerry. I haven't studied enough to be able to make any comments on that. I just know that this was the day, the Monday, when nothing is known. We don't know what happened, and I believe that's why Sagres was important. And it was also important on June the 9th, when Jerry made a phone call to Russell O'Brien and denied it. Then he tried to hide it in his blogs by saying the trip to Sagres was on June the 11th, 2 days later, when in actual fact, I showed you the proof they were in Morocco on that day. It was definitely something that needed to be hidden. And Jerry overshooting PDL on his trip back from Washington on, I think, the 24th, 25th of July, after Kate had given the dream. And he needed to go down there and arrange to pick up the body and move her body, possibly to Huelva. And somebody would have taken her, possibly his brother-in-law who drove the car. And then John Corner arrived, and he went with them the day after they had the police dogs checking out their villa. And the next day they drove off to Huelva and had some questionable time frames that were missing. So that's the basic kind of documentary I would like to see. And if anybody can prove anything, that I got anything incorrect in that lot, please do. Because I've never had anything contradict anything that I've put into public, to be honest. So I think, unless there's any other comments, and I'm really trying to see, but I'm having difficulty. So yes, I'm afraid I can't see any more comments that I can actually read. So I'm going to thank you all for being here, and thank you for staying with me on my journey to try to get to the truth of what happened to Maddie. And I think I'm not doing bad. When I see today how some of the things just fitted together, like, we knew that the blog was written on one day and yet he changed it. Why did he change it? Because he didn't want to admit to anything happening on the 9th in Sagres. That pretty much, I would imagine, is the answer. And they just come back from Amsterdam, I think on the 9th or the 10th. No, the 7th or 8th. No, 6th or 7th. They just got back from Amsterdam, and that was where the Da Telegraph letter appeared, and which sent the police into searching to find the towel. I mean, it's all fitting. It's all fitting. It needs to be in a documentary. Somebody who can explain it far better than I can do. But I hope you got that. And I'm going to look forward. I haven't got any further lives on Maddie planned at the moment. I want to come up with something that is of value, unless there is something that anybody feels that I should be addressing in a live. I've got pretty much a lot on my plate right now, so but I absolutely, if there's something that needs to be addressed, like last night when I saw that documentary, I said, that's it. I cannot handle these documentaries that the same old. There needs to be a different one, and it needs to be follow along with all of the trips to Sagres and what it could have been. But I guess nobody can do that, because although it's there, it would lay some questions towards the McCanns. And as we know, we mustn't say anything against them. Well, we can, but the media can't. So, okay, everyone. Well, thank you so much for staying with me. And thank you for Cheryl. Oh, yeah, hit the thumbs up button. Good old Cheryl. Thank you so much for being there, Cheryl. I know there was a little questionable comment at the very beginning of this, so I'm not sure if there was any aggro. Hopefully not, but Cheryl would have sorted them out. And yeah, okay. Well, I thank you again. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you from Lucky Lou. Say bye, Lucky Lou. Oh, and we'll see you again next time. So take care and have a good new year. I'm really excited about my new year because I've started a new project with my wood graining, which is something else. So this is everything's keeping me really busy right now. But I'm really happy because I could be sat here just twiddling my thumbs, doing nothing, watching Dr. Phil, which is basically what I do at night anyway. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. And I'm going to just hit the button for the... Oh, there was one thing I've forgotten while I was busy talking. I wanted to let you know about something really important. And that is for anybody who wants to check the timelines of anything. I've got... I developed calendars for May, June, July, August, and September. So you can scroll down the calendar and see. I tried to put in what they were wearing, photos, the blog, the diary, police emails, anything I could in reference to each day. And that's where I got some of my information from for today. Now, I can, I'll be able to post the link for it, but it's my AMU forum, and I'm going to try and show you. There's no sound to it, but okay. This is the forum, and as you can see, I did this a long time ago, and there's thousands of posts in here. I covered pretty much everything. I did have another one with actually all of my reference stuff. I still haven't managed to get into that, but you can see phone info, whoever, but the calendar, it's from May, June, July, August, September, and it covers okay, let's go to the May one, and this gives loads of information, and the Saturday timeline, the 28th, and you can scroll it right down. I worked with tables, so sometimes that's the 3rd. Sometimes on the right you can't see, but if you take the like that, you can get to see it. I hope everybody has a look at it, because it is extremely, I'm really proud of it, and it's one of the main things that has really been helpful. You can also scroll down, there's lots of pages. How many pages? I've got more than 6. Whistleblower, how did the McCanns deceive about the crash? Nannies that saw, I mean, I've got everything listed there. Thursday timetables for comparison. This one was one of the most difficult ones to do, and I think you'll see why. This is what proves my research, is I put everything from 9 a.m. on Thursday, all of their statements that referred to a timeline, I put into a table. And then again at 10, everything at 10. But when it gets down to 7:30, yeah, this was after. This is a timeline of after, and who said what and who was where. And yeah, this got really 10:30, and then 11, 10:45. So every 15 minutes after Maddie was supposedly disappeared, you can read everybody's statements and what they said and anything that happened, right through to 6 a.m. And then you can see who phoned who at what time. Yeah, it was a lot of work. Loved it. But yeah, this shows all the police that were there. And actually, I was looking for this the other day. I didn't realize I had it in here. So when they say nothing happened, look at all these police that were there. Just all off duty. Anyway, that's enough of that. So I just wanted you to see that. And I will take the address and I will post it in there. I think I've done it. Have I got it in there? Oh yes, look, I can see it. It's come up. So you might want to go over there if you're really interested in the timeline. That gives the timeline, everything, every day. Just remember to select to kind of move the table over to the other side. So yeah, I'm gonna say good night and thank you for everything. Thank you for being there, and thank you for following me. If other people disagree with me, listen, don't worry, I understand. It's okay. I don't expect everybody to just believe me blatantly. You need to research yourself. So, and everybody's entitled to their own view. You don't have to follow me. In fact, I prefer if you actually do your own research before you agree with me. But anyway, so I'm going to head off and say good night. Thank you to everybody. Take care. And I'm going to share the screen with the ending of the video that I was playing at the beginning. So night night, everyone.
Sabes, tu sabes como se arma o coração. Agarramos uma vida, desatamos a paixão. Oh, Sagres, tu sabes, na ponta da solidão. Oh, Sagres, tu sabes como se arma um coração. Agarramos uma vida, desatamos a paixão. Oh, Sagres, tu sabes, na ponta da solidão.
Night night, everyone.